The second part of this kind of workshop will be more workshop, not presentation. Not hands-on still, but we will be showing some code. So to illustrate what we present just in the previous session. So, what is it about? This is Metal France website. This is a French webzine. Basically for metal music bands, albums, reviews, and live reports, and picture galleries and stuff. This website is already online, yes, so you can, of course, it's only in French, so I apologize in advance. The project, I mean the EZ5 project is on GitHub. The legacy part is not released yet because I still have a server-side configuration on it, so, but everything should be released at some point. So you can just check the code on GitHub if you like after the session. Okay. Well, the current website, the version is 3.1. I mean, the website version, not easy. It's running, community version, which corresponds more or less to 4.5. So now it's quite old. It's 3 years old, and with a very standard stack, running on 5.4 PHP 5.4 plus FPM. Still on MySQL 5.1. Yeah, I know, I should upgrade as well. So, yeah, that's it for it. It used to be a static website at the very beginning. And hopefully I convinced all the team, because a lot of reviewers and stuff, to move on to CMS and to Easy Publish. What are the plans? For first version 3.5 to migrate to EZ5.4 or corresponding community version, because we won't need enterprise support for that. But with the minimum migration. So basically layout, few content templates, but not everything. Use Varnish. And we use a couple of custom data types. So first the plan is not to migrate them. Either just pulling them to the null field type and just not migrating the templates using these legacy data types. And still using EasyFind for search. So legacy fallback for that.
So just to be sure, everybody's familiar with the null field type Jérôme just mentioned? Okay, no question. Good.
Right. So and then the plans for the version 4 is to use the full platform stack with no legacy templates at all, migrate all data types, and of course open source them. There is actually one important, which is basically a field type, data type, because it's still legacy, for Amazon advertising. Basically all the reviews, we add the product ID to Amazon, so that you can first listen to the MP3 player on Amazon and eventually buy the album, sponsored. And use the new Solar search engine, which is not completed yet, but usable, not easily configurable yet though.
When is that released?
The new Solar search engine? Well, actually, it's already present in the core. So it's I said, well, the code is already present and already usable, but there is no fancy configuration for it, so you can already use it actually. It's not documented yet. Should be kind of ready-ish for 5.4. I just know that it doesn't support location search yet. So it's only bound on content, like it was the case before 5.3.
And I would rather wait for our VP of engineering to reply, because he's the one who actually kind of decides. So, or with my lawyer. But
yeah. And about search engines, there is also work in progress with Elasticsearch. Not sure it will be ready for 5.4.
Currently it's a prototype, and it's about priorities.
So
open source and contributions welcome, of course.
You will, in the future, support both those search engines?
This, I'm not sure.
I would rather not, because it means 2 times the maintenance, and we would rather avoid that. And it seems that Elasticsearch is really gaining some momentum for very good reasons. So, but we are not sure yet. Elasticsearch was mostly a prototype, and well, it seems to work fine. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It also depends on what people ask for. So, what would your preference be?
Search engine.
But we have one.
Well, and for the new Solar search engine, this is completely different schema from compared to EasyFind. So yeah, just be aware of that. Plan for this would be to use to be able to use Solar search engine for the front end, and for search in backend, just use the SQL search. That can be also wrapped into a search plugin, but yeah, this we lack a bit of time for this kind of things. Okay, so this is what this website looks like. I just had a small issue this morning, so the homepage doesn't work. I don't know why. So yeah. Apologize for this, but anyway, it wasn't migrated. See, it's loading weird templates, and anyway, so I won't show it, but it's basically an EasyFlow website with some blocks. I can show it online at least if I have enough Wi-Fi. Maybe not. Oh yeah. So here, what it's supposed to look like. With the last reviews and some kind of carousel pictures, the last pictures, and last interviews, live reports, and stuff. So nothing specific here, since I didn't migrate it yet. So for the first, let's show a bit. How the page layout was about. So here it is. Design, meta browse.
Could you zoom a bit?
Better? Okay, so yeah, it's kind of pretty standard. Actually, this layout is aligned to what we have in EasyFlow and EasyWebbing. So this is why you have still this basket is empty thing. Of course, I don't use it in the website, but yeah, it's basic copy-paste for it. See, with the different includes, and the content should be somewhere. Module results, that content. No? Okay. Oh no, because I have this page main area. So here lies the content, and main area is here. With a few logic here. Yeah, well, nothing very special. I mean, I have a sidebar as well, somewhere. It's in this one. But anyway, it's been a long time I didn't open it actually. So, to see how the page layout twig looks like, actually you can see that I have two. One in a side bundle and one in a legacy bundle. I will just show a few code here and then explain the directory structure and the bundle structure I chose for that, because it's quite important, and Bertrand will develop this a lot on Friday. So it's yeah, basically the same thing, just defining some blocks. This is what I talked about earlier. So a block for meta stuff, block for CSS, block for JS, and header, the main area, and the sidebar, and the content is here. So this is the first one. The second one is the one from Legacy. So this is basically, well, for very basic stuff. What I talked about for content for modules. You know, you see. Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot.
What for me to do? You just need to prepare 9 hours of workshop or something.
Oh, no problem.
Right. Maybe the first thing before diving into code would be to show what is the structure I chose for that. So everything lies in SRC. The SRC directory is basically meant for holding your project code. So if you have external dependencies, like you developed a custom field type, better than do it as a separate bundle and use it as a dependency in the Composer JSON. So using Composer here, if you're not so familiar with it, you will just add it here after the all basic dependencies. If you open sourced it, that's perfect, but with Composer anyway you can point to your personal Git repository or even SVN. Well, nobody wants to use SVN anymore. No? Derek, you still use SVN? Yes? So that then it will be in vendor. So here are the dependencies of your project. You can see that, yeah, there are a lot. A lot of them are actually dependencies from Symfony. You have all the easy systems packages here, like the kernel, the demo bundle is still there, the commands bundle and stuff. And all dependencies we use, like PagerFanta for pagination, or of course PHP unit, and several Sensio bundles for mailing. And even Twig is here. But for your project code, it relies in SRC. I of course use the command, the generate command. So this I can show a bit. Yes. Is that okay? So we have this easy publish console, as I already mentioned. If you just run it, you will have, yes, of course, it will list all the commands available. And you have this generate bundle. You have also one for generating controllers. This is basically to the shortcut. So let's do generate bundle, and see, it will ask you for your bundle namespace. So that will be admin demo test bundle here. The bundle name with the default name, the target directory, which is by default in SRC, the configuration format, and so on. At the end, it will ask you a confirmation for generation, and you're ready to go. You can also run it in shell mode, and with that you will have code completion, like easy publish, the configure commands and stuff. So this is very nice. So here I decided to have two bundles. One for the main site. Here I would I have all the resources, all the views here, the main views. The view directory is designed as before, like in Easy Webbing and all the best practice structure, like having a full, having your full views into the full directory. Same for all your for the view types you're using. The page layout is at the root, and everything in parts will be basically included from the layout. You're free to choose anything you prefer. Just this is still best practice to structure it this way. So.
And we must try to apply the structure we think people should use in the demo bundle anyway. It's our way to give pieces of advice about that. Our best practices are of course questionable, and we encourage you to do so.
Yes. Don't hesitate to do some feedback. I mean, we always try to listen. Oh, sorry, we always listen.
The problem with optional guidelines is that everybody finds their own thing, and then nothing is consistent.
Well, there are many good reasons why you wouldn't do that. For instance, if you have a standard and new recruits would most likely know the standard if it's a known one. If it's your own, they will have to discover it. So there are practical and economical reasons why you would like to follow a standard.
And yeah, I have a small spoiler for you about standards. In the future, it's more than likely that we use PSR2 code styling. So we would drop the current code styling in our code. Actually, we already started a new code. So yeah, PSR is here for that.
That's a good thing.
Yes, I think so as well. Yeah, so you will have your config here. This is a basic bundle structure. Everything is here by convention from Symfony, like the dependency injection extension, which is generated automatically. This is very, a class. This is loaded automatically. And everything should be, the configuration files should be there in resources config. Resources public is for assets, CSS, images, and JavaScript. Everything that is supposed to be publicly exposed by the web server. And Symfony actually has a nice console command to expose them via symlinks or hard copies. So you just run the assets install command, and it will run through all the bundles and add symlinks to the web folder. So you can see that in web. You can see in bundles, and here are all our symlinks for MetaFrance website. Here is a symlink to the public. That's about it. Controller here also, all the controllers are there by convention as well. Even it's not probably yes.
What have you in your PagerFanta folder or twig folder?
Okay, in PagerFanta I implemented a custom view for it because and a custom template because the way I wanted to render pagination or the markup I had didn't comply what was provided by PagerFanta by default. But you can extend it, and the most important is the template. You define some options, and this is basically how it renders. So yes, it does output directly HTML, but anyway, this is meant to do so. So yeah, but I wouldn't have that low in the presentation. In the twig, I have basically a twig extension. So Metal France Legacy doesn't belong here anymore. Shh. What does it do? Oh yeah, okay. That's because I had the currently I'm using a social network authentication. And I used to develop a legacy extension for this using JanRain, which provides a lot of social networks authentications. So I started to use this this extension for just to run a legacy fallback, but actually it's not used anymore. It just should have been removed. But this can actually show you how easy it is to implement a twig extension. You just define your class, extending the main twig extension. I can show you just after the service definition. And where is it? Get functions here. This is where you expose the function name or the filter name, depending on how it is supposed to be used, and the callback. So it will call this public method. And then here you're free to do whatever you want. But please always keep in mind that this is a bootstrap. This is an entry point. So if you're doing twig extensions, don't get all your code as much as possible because you will have other examples from the easy core where a lot of business logic is in there. But try to externalize to other services, other classes, what your extension is supposed to do. So that your extension class is just an entry point to call another one, which virtually can be called from anywhere for reusability.
And if you look carefully at Symfony, it's pretty much what is done on most bundles. The bundle is just here to tie a library, an anonymous library that just requires PHP, to Symfony itself. So usually you have all the classes, business, logic, and so on in the library. And you have the bundle that adds services definitions, possibly configuration, and just requires the library with Composer. So usually installing a bundle will install 2 dependencies, the bundle plus the library. And we also try to do this to some extent.
Okay. Yeah, that's about it for the side bundle. And the legacy bundle was at first meant to hold this easy publish legacy folder because it is defined as a legacy bundle. This is a new feature in 5.3. So you can have it in the last community versions or from
it's been working since January or February.
January.
So
yeah, okay.
It's been a while now. Well,
it's been a while. It's in the code base. So Can maybe explain because
Well,
you developed.
very simply, any subfolder you create in this easy publish _ legacy folder will be considered as an easy publish legacy extension. So Metal France is, I guess, what Jérôme had in the legacy version, and well, you have everything you know: updates, settings, modules, design of data types, workflow events, and everything. Symfony will just inject it as an enabled extension inside Easy Publish. So the goal being to make it possible for people to just ignore Easy Publish legacy itself and just version or work on what they want inside the bundle. Ideally, it would prevent you from doing anything on legacy, meaning that you can just install a project, it gets legacy, and every customization is inside bundles, so that you don't have to version legacy, which is usually big and annoying. So it should work like that. You can have as many extensions as you want. And be careful, it requires the extension.xml file. If it's not there, the extension won't be loaded. And that's it. From there, it should be familiar ground. And if it's not familiar, well, it means you don't know legacy, and it's good for you.
Will that work in 6?
No, because legacy will be gone in 6.
But we will likely externalize the legacy bundle, which is inside the Easy Publish kernel repository at the moment, and as a standalone, so that even if you're using 6, you will just have to install an additional bundle to have all the legacy features, backwards compatibility and stuff.
So you just move these legacy into a bundle?
No, it's just the legacy bundle. You will have to install it via Composer separately. So just one more line, Composer install or update. Well, Composer require easy system / name of the bundle, and that's all. That's just an addition for to separate the basically for support and maintenance and stuff, all that kind of stuff.
And it will most likely depend where Courier itself is published legacy, which will be then downloaded and installed somewhere.
Yeah.
And well, actually, something you haven't mentioned. I guess your goal when having a legacy bundle and a side bundle is also to just ditch your legacy bundle when you don't need legacy anymore, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So that you don't have to edit anything, just remove the requirements, and legacy is gone. And it is what we kind of did for Publish itself. Everything that depends on legacy should be in the Easy Publish legacy bundle.
Yeah. Another reason I did this was to do bundle inheritance. So this is nice feature from Symfony. One of your bundle can inherit from another one. There are some limitations, like for example, you can only one bundle can inherit from another. So here, Metal France Legacy bundle is inheriting Metal France side bundle. So it's not possible after that to inherit again from side bundle. The reason you want to do that is that basically the legacy bundle, every assets in there, every even controller or templates can override the ones inside bundle. What I did, for example, is in the views. Actually, this is this template that will be called from the legacy bundle, which extends the one from Metal France site. So when calling the main the Metal France page layout.yaml, .twig, sorry, it will call this one, the one from the legacy bundle, because it's inheriting the main one. And here I'm explicitly extending the first one for several reasons. For example, the persistent variable. So here I will just I just set it. See how this was the question from you. So this is the easy publish global variable, the helper .legacy. We're pretty sure that we have something here because it will be called in the legacy context. dot get the name of the variable. So here the person variable, and then just use it as you used it. You can see that we overrode several blocks, like the meta one, for the keywords, the description, the author, bless you, and the sidebar for the business rules, basically. So that everything that requires legacy fallbacks here. Yes?
Are you sure that you need to extend the bundle itself in order to extend it to templates?
This is not really mandatory because I could have specify explicitly all my content, my sub-templates for the content views from the legacy bundle. But what I want here is that they are completely independent, so that when I'm done, I just remove it, so I don't have to update all the templates. I can show you one of my full templates in side bundle. Sources views. So, for example, the full blog post. See, it's extending the metal front side page layout.html.twig, not from the legacy bundle. So then, when I'm done, remove it, remove the legacy bundle, and it will continue to work. So this can be considered as a best practice.
And for those not familiar, the parent call at the end of the block will just basically paste what is in the parent templates inside this block, meaning that by default it will override, and will override completely what was in the block, but this way it will just happen, basically, right?
Yes. For this, I can show what it's all about. It was in the sidebar blocks, so in this one. The block sidebar is including this template. See, I set a variable here, sidebar blocks, and I expect it to be maybe filled with content, with an array here, with let's say it's a block template identifiers. So I have agenda and other one. But if it's not filled, it will default to this value. So we can do this as well for contents. Maybe where is it? It's a header, I think. Page head. See, for example, the title here. This was the example I explained this morning. So here the business rule is if the title variable has not been set by a child template. Remember our current blog post here is a child template of the main layout. In the main layout, we have defined some blocks, like here. This one is in the head block. So we can see that in here. No, it's in meta, sorry. In the meta block. And in the meta block, I'm just including the template I was showing. Because all the blocks need to be defined in the main template. So, in a page head, this means if the title variable is not defined, so saying a child template doesn't have didn't define it, and I have the content variable, which means I am in the content in the content context, right? Then I just set the title to the name, the base name of the content. Easy content name is using translations as well. And that's all. But if it's present, so we ignore this, we just fill it with it. We just fill content with it. And it's falling back to here an empty string and the main site title. So this is this is basically the same thing I'm doing here to define the sidebar blocks. We have the same in the sidebar template. Remember, we set the sidebar blocks variable. Yeah. To the content of this variable, if it's defined. If not, we default to this array. And in my blog post, I just defined this the sidebar blocks variable, which is expected, to something. So it's redefining it and call the parent, so that the content of the template will be displayed using what you already passed. This is before you used to use the persistence variable before, and checked if I have a persistent variable dot sidebar blocks defined, then I use it. This is basically the same. It's just that here, as we are using template inheritance, you'd redefine the block and call the parent. That's all. Is that clear for everyone? Or if you have questions maybe for this?
When you define that Easy Publish use your page layout HTML twig instrument?
Actually, you can see in the blog post here. You say in your main view that we will see how we configure it to match these templates, like the former override rules, right? So when you're selecting this template, in the template you say extend, so this, I will skip it for now, and I am extending the page layout. So you need to do that in every template, I mean full view template, okay? In the line view, you're not forced to do it. You may, for some reason, but you may want to do that if you have a base template, but this is very unlikely.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that you want your full design multiple times within a table.
No, but another layout.
Yeah. But basically, the point is, in most of your controllers that render the main part of your page, you will actually render kind of a page layout template, except that it won't redefine the page layout, it will just reuse the page layout. So every content class full view template will extend the page layout unless there is a particular circumstance for whatever reason.
There is no cache overhead for this. So it's like extending a class. You're not redefining a new class again.
And you might also, for instance, have a specific group of classes that require page layout with additional stuff. So maybe you have declared a new page layout, like a section page layout that extends the normal page layout. Just add something to blocks maybe, and then your own template extends this one. And you can have a series of everything templates to manage different sections, maybe for style or whatever reason. But unlike before what you had was render the module with its own template and then put it inside the page layout. Now you always render kind of only the page layout, yes, which itself includes stuff. So it's a different paradigm, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, what took some time getting used to.
Yes, that's true. That's why I presented with Bertrand earlier this morning. This is something you need to really grasp to dive into it. Once you get it, then you'll almost you know almost everything about twig templating. So this is that can take a while until you grasp it completely, because it's different paradigm.
So I think maybe you should show the template rules now.
Yes. First, I wanted to finish all the layout. So, if I think it's okay. So, yeah. The most important thing in the layout here is that we have two bundles, and one inheriting the other one, which is very helpful. This is not mandatory, but we recommend it for like the separation of concerns, basically. Let's show now how the configuration rules are about.
So now just to go back to familiar terms, Jérôme is going to show what override rules are in EC5, very simply. So how you decide that you want to use folder.html.twig to render content of type folder.
So this is not really override anymore, because it's more just plain selection. This is overridden by the bundles inheritance, basically. In the future, we will most likely have a theme feature, like the legacy design feature, that the design chain. So that will be re-implemented in EC5. Currently, it's not there. So this is more template selection rules. So here it is. This is what we call semantic configuration. In Symfony, you have two type of configuration. The semantic one, which is basically exposed and validated by Easy Publish. So basically, Symfony is triggering some kind of a validation system that is defined by the bundle itself. So from Easy Publish core bundle, we expose different settings. And here, for example, you have this location view thing. Under system, you have all your site accesses. So here I have Metal France, which is a group. Because now, yes, you can group settings together instead of repeating everything. So basically, under the location view, you have also content view. Here is the full the view name. So here it's for the full view. This one you name it whatever you want. I usually keep the content type identifier.
It's like the any group name in override.ini.
Yes.
It just needs to be unique, or the second one would override the first one.
Absolutely. So let's just forget the controller stuff for now. Here you define the template. So this is the template we were in, with the notation expected by the twig loader. So which is name of the bundle, colon the subdirectory under resources used, colon the template name.
How do you specify subdirectories? If you have
/some/thing. So it will be in Metal France site bundle, resources, views, full, something, blog post.html.twig. And then you define a match. So we have quite a good collection of matchers. So it's way more flexible than it was before, because you can define your own matchers. So here it's the content type identifier. We have also location ID, content ID, almost all the one present legacy are implemented, but you can also implement your own. Like it's a basic class that you can implement. You're being passed the content and say, okay, yes.
One question, if I have multiple of those match things, the criteria is basically how they're combined. Are they AND or
With the AND.
or?
They combine with the AND always, and we have, no, I will say rubbish, the logical AND or for the site access matches, so it's different. So here it's always AND, but here you can actually pass an array instead of a plain string and say, okay, article. So
But I
this.
can also not say something like, okay, if it's a blog post or if it has the location ID like 21 or something like that. That's not.
Well, location ID is one-liner. I mean, it's unique. So if you use this one, you won't be able to use other matchers. It will never match in this case, unless, of course, you're spotting the white one.
But you wanted content type or ID, right?
Yeah.
Which we can't do.
Separate block.
No, we cannot do that. You will have to write 2 blocks for that.
Okay.
However, you will be able to here use the same controller and templates for blog posts and article content types.
And specific section.
Then, if you're using a specific section, so let's say like this. That was before. I think we have like identifier section, standard media, or maybe without.
Yeah, identifier.
So this will act as an end.
Why didn't we implement a compound or something?
Why are you asking this kind of questions?
Because people are asking.
No, that might be.
We could have, or did we have like a technical blocker?
No, it's not a technical blocker because the match is actually very simple.
So we are expecting a pull request from you in the next 2 weeks, right? No?
I would check if I have time for it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could.
It's very it's very simple. You see your test the location, so it can be technically we can implement technically a compound one. Yes. Here.
Why you? I need to specify the controller.
No.
Ah, okay.
Well, because Jérôme might be a bit too deep in this. Basically, we provide 2 default controllers, main ones for now. It's a location view controller, where you just give a location ID and it renders a location, or a content view controller, where you give a content ID and it renders a content. And that's why you have location view, but you could also have content view. If, for instance, you do an embed of a content, it won't be a location view, but a content view. But, and Jérôme will, I guess, mention it, we can also choose a custom controller instead of the normal one, so that you can provide twig with more variables and so on to replace the lack of fetch functions.
Yes.
But you don't have to, and by default it will be the normal view controller.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Actually, custom controllers are very, very helpful. Well, personally, I use them all the time because you're always lacking something. Like the author name, you usually have the owner ID only. Well, this is some kind of developer experience. We already discussed about that. We could provide things like data converters. But for now, you only have the content, the location variable, and that's pretty much it. So if you want to render, to have the content type, for instance, for some reason in your template, then you will have to write a custom controller to do so. And the custom controller here, I can show it. It's the block controller.
A very classical use case is if you want to list content. Currently, we don't have a default controller for that. You will have to write one. And over time, depending on feedback, So that's also why we need feedback. We will write more controllers or make our controllers more versatile so that you don't have to create a new one every time. For instance, for the author or for some particular details, you shouldn't have to do it. But at least you have the possibility, and it's no rocket science either.
No. So here, see, we are basically dealing with rendering content. Maybe I should also open the blogpost.tpl. That's the problem with conventions. Okay, this one.
I was going to say while it's looking, but they found it. We could quite easily extract a certain generic list controller, and same with search. We're currently adding it to the example, I guess.
Yes.
I guess that like children controller would be quite simple. Children with specification.
Children, and then later twig.
So this is how the blog post was designed. So no rocket science. Basically, displaying the content, the title, doing an attribute degree for the tags, and the body. Well, with a specific thing here, the auto link and what to image. Including some AdSense block and including the share for share on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And display the comments because I used to use easy comments. So if we have a look at the migrated templates, of course it's the same markup. Here we're using the twig function easy render field, where you pass the content variable and the field definition identifier. This basically replaces the attribute degree. Okay, it's using templating as well. So I can show. Yeah, you have one template that can be when you can add several ones as well, where you define blocks but these are very specific ones to display the field value basically. So I will show it because it's not science anyway. So the base one is this one. So here, for example, you have the block for the display for easy string. So the base text line field type. You say, okay, I want to display the field value and the text that is contained in there, and it's calling the simple inline field.
So a block is a twig function that will basically render a block using the variables that we are defining in the context.
You usually don't want to use it directly unless in specific cases like this. So you can see here what is the rendering of it. So it's basically rendering a span with the attributes. These attributes are actually the field, the content ID, if I remember correctly, and the field ID, which will probably be needed in the future for inline on-site editing. But if we look at other ones like authors, yes, and
well, field attributes are basically the field value properties. So the string one just has a text, but other more complex field types have much more values, and it will just iterate over those. So in any case, the interesting part is that if you write a custom field type, and usually it's one experience you should live at least once in your life, use those because they're mostly appropriate for 90% of field types, either the inline or block one, just set a variables called the block, and it will be rendered within it. So it's extensible enough in terms of CSS and markup, so that it can apply to most situations.
So this is basically what Easy Render Field is doing. We will see in other templates that you can actually override. Do not override the block that is defined by default because it doesn't fit your markup. That's kind of happen often, of course. So you can then define a specific block in your template, or just define another template and say, okay, say to Easy Render Fill, I want to use that other template directly. So the author, I will cover it a bit later, and see Easy Render Fill for content tags, and for the body. Well, I deactivated AdSense block because my account was suspended, so. So anyway, my include didn't work, so. And include the share template, which I migrated as well. So this is just converting the legacy template syntax to the twig syntax. Yes?
Going back to this template rules YML file, can you show us how do you inject it into the container? Because I understood that we are to use the prepend extension configuration interface, and this is actually how we achieve in prepending this override rules. But can you show us if it's a good practice, or how do you actually import this one into the container?
Actually, there are two ways to import your settings from your bundle. First, the prepend extension interface, which is the most advanced and probably the most recommended way to do it, and using simple import syntax from your main EasyPublish YAML or config YAML file. Here, for this one, I chose the import because it was the fastest to show and the easiest. So if I open EasyPublish YAML, you can see that I have here two imports. One from my image.yaml, where I have all my image aliases defined, and the template rules. So if you do via imports, it will work. It's just that you won't be able to override everything you set here in those imported files. You won't be able to override these settings at the application level. So inside the EasyPublish.yaml, the main one, where I am here, it's in EasyPublish config EasyPublish.yaml. We have 15 minutes left.
Right. Technically, yes. How late did we start? Anybody remembers? I think it was at least 15 minutes late. So.
Okay. Right.
Say 25.
The other way is using a prepend extension interface. Well, it's pretty well documented on the doc.easy.no, so I encourage you to go there to see. The main difference will be that you won't have the EasyPublish keyword here, because you will be explicitly loading for the EasyPublish namespace. But yeah, as we don't have much time left, we will probably go for it.
But I will mention it in my app structure like presentation at workshop. And in any case, it's a good practice because it means that people are not expected to edit the configuration to get the site to work. Just enabling the bundle will automatically add prepend the extension configuration, and it will be completely transparent, and as Jérôme said, it will be overridable, which is kind of mandatory in my opinion. So it is actually the right way to do it.
Yes. Especially.
Which one is the right way to do that?
Prepend.
Yeah, okay.
Especially if you distribute bundles to community or to your colleagues, because it will automatically load configuration, which is kind of handy. So yeah, what I wanted to basically to show is that converting a content template, well, of course it depends on complexity, but is not rocket science. I mean, it's just basically converting from the legacy syntax to the twig syntax. So with the template inheritance and blocks, using easy render field instead of attribute UGUI, easy content name instead of node.name or node.content.name. That's basically it.
I would say you're missing one big element, which would be content UGUI.
Yeah, the content, yeah.
It's kind of important, right?
The content UGUI is like for node UGUI. I'm not sure I have one of those here.
So just as a reminder, it's when you want to embed another content, like render the full view of the content within another content, or the embed view or line view of the content.
You do this with a sub request. So I would do. Yeah, I need to find one because I'm not sure I have. Oh yes, I know where I have. In the blog, in the listing. So then I need to show you the controller. Where is my controller?
Actually, the line you saw here, can you go back to the previous template just for a second? The render ESI, it is quite obvious at this point that view location is a controller, because what it does here is render the controller identified by easy_content view location, and then we give it arguments, and the argument is very simply the location ID. And then we have an optional argument, which is a view type.
It's not, it's mandatory.
Well, mandatory argument, view type line instead of full, which is kind of the default standard.
Yes. So for listing, listing content, you're kind of forced to use a custom controller, which is very simple here. Here for pagination, we're using Pager Fanta. There is a cookbook recipe on doc.tz.no for using Pager Fanta, but this is basically instantiating the pager, passing it the content search adapter, which is for searching contents. So the content search adapter is here to fetch the content for you. So you give it the specific query using the public API, and you pass it the search service as well. So here, I'm using a different service for that. This is a good practice as well. Do not do all your code in your controllers. Keep your controllers thin. So this is what it looks like. Here, define a new query with some criteria like visibility, parent location ID, and the content type identifier. I'm basically doing a fetch here, right? And the sort clause and returning the query. This query object will be passed to the content search adapter, and we then set max element per page and which page we are on. Right.
One thing interesting to mention here, most of what we saw, I think, was mostly Symfony, right?
Yes.
It was mostly twig, configuration and so on. Specific parts were the template rules.
Twig,
the controllers, our default controllers, right? A few helpers like render field and so on. And what you saw in the previous templates, the query, this is kind of the core of what we do. It's the repository itself. So querying for contents, getting content or locations back, this is the core of Easy Publish bound to Symfony. So as you can see, our goal is to maximize the usage of Symfony itself, because it does what it does very well, but take care of content itself.
Yes.
Because content is what we do.
And then sorry?
Why Fanta? Is that a French thing?
No, I don't think so. I think the guy is Spanish or Mexican. I don't know why. Maybe he likes Fanta. I don't know. If I meet him in a conference, I will ask him. So then the thing I'm doing here is forwarding the request to the main view controller. Why I'm not forced to do that. I could just use directly the view, the twig, call the twig view directly. But if I'm doing this, is to keep being extensible, because if I'm through the view controller, we will still use the template rules. So the template selection rules, so that it can be overridden from another bundle, for instance, for one of your other website or whatever. So it will use the controller, but not another template. So what it's doing what we are doing basically is just enriching what will be passed to the view. So we will have content and location, and this blog posts variable which corresponds to the pager. And this is what it's about. See here, we override the title variable and call the parent. And for the content itself, we're just looping against the blog posts. The pager we passed is actually traversable. And here, we are doing render ESI. So this replaced the node view GUI in a legacy template, blog.tpl, if I find it. Okay. Oh, yeah. See, we are doing the same fetch, but in the template. And do node view GUI, right? Here, we are doing a render ESI. A render ESI of the main easy content, the column view location controller. And that's the result is exactly the same, except that we are calling another MVC triplet.
You did mention how the custom controller was configured for this view, right?
Yes, we showed it in there. So you just add the controller here. This is also a standard notation. So name of the bundle, name of the controller class, which must end with controller. So it's basically block controller and the action method to call. So,
and the method will be named show blog post action, unless I'm mistaken.
Yes. So here, so it must be under controller namespace, the block controller, and the method is called list blog post action. This is again conventions.
It's a simple full stack convention.
Full stack convention. So there is no surprise for that.
It's documented extensively by many persons online.
Yes, how long do we have left?
Minus 11 minutes.
Okay. Yes?
Just a short question. Can you tell us what controller do you extend, and what do you recommend? What controller do you extend in your controller?
That's a very good question. Actually, we are not extending the Symfony bundle,
framework bundle.
the Symfony framework bundle controller, but the Easy Publish Core bundle controller for OneWiz, it's the same, but we added a few shorthand methods like get repository, get config resolver. Config resolver is basically like EasyINI, if you prefer, calling site access configuration. So the recommendation is to extend the one from Easy Publish Core bundle. Other questions?
There's not a routing file that points to this controller.
No.
Because this controller is an override of view location controller.
Yes, but technically you could have a routing file, a route pointing to this controller. That's not a problem.
And actually, one important thing to keep in mind is how routing works in Publish 5. We have normal routing for custom modules in Symfony 2, that's normal. But basically, anything that is not matched will go through the URL alias router.
Yeah.
That will basically take the URL and try to match it with the location, language and the site access and everything, and ultimately call the view location. So it's basically what we had with the URL aliases in legacy. So it's kind of a wildcard matcher. So this is done completely transparently, and it's kind of the main entry points for HTTP requests and Symfony and its Publish 5.
Yeah, there is actually a third router from the legacy, which if nothing is matched, we fall back to legacy.
For now.
Yes?
Yeah, the Easy Bundle, Easy Publish Core Bundle controller, is that the constructor injection or setter injections of all the utility that you talked about?
It's supposed to it's extending the framework bundle controller, so it follows the exact same behavior, meaning that it's container aware for convenience. I personally prefer using a controller as a service. So then just inject what you need. But if you're using the Easy Publish Core Bundle controller, then follow the same behavior than in Symfony.
So do you have a clearer view of how to get started with migrating from legacy? No? Little bit? Is any big part missing? Is there something in what you did that you just have no clue of how to get started with?
I think there could be a question among a few. I already did it, but it would be nice to explain, for example, if there is a page that contains publish logic to create content using the front end by the user himself.
So create a user-generated content, basically.
Yeah.
Well, short answer first, we don't have a controller for that. So it's quite simple, we have nothing that can create content using controllers. But we have something we did not have before, which is a REST API. So our REST API is now able to publish content, create content, edit content unlike before. So at least you have the option of using... So you have the option of using REST, be it from JavaScript or PHP, to create content. So we will most likely in the future have controllers to publish content and so on, but we don't have that for now. If we want to have that, we also need to have automatic form generation for content edits, so it's not a low-hanging fruit.
But anyway, you're free to implement your own controller with the form framework that Bertrand Chaussec will present tomorrow, I think. The author of this Symfony component, which is very, very nice. So you can technically use it to generate, to create content or update content from your custom controller. It's not a big deal at all, because using this the public API for creating content is very easy, quite easy. Yes.
If I may, there's also a question that I haven't found an answer to yet, and that is collections. So
You mean information collector?
yeah, right.
Okay, we have this bundle not from us, but from Heliopsis, which is a community partner. The Easy Form bundle, which is meant to do so. I personally never used it. It seems to address this particular issue. In the demo bundle, we actually implement the contact form, but not related to information collector.
So in regards to true information collectors in the legacy sense, we really don't know if we will implement something similar. Because well, it has been designed a while ago, it has a few drawbacks like some data types are not supported and so on. So we'll most likely do something different. But it's clearly not one of the biggest priorities right now because there are alternatives depending on your business use case.
Maybe a last question.
So who will try migrating the website next week? Thank you, Sylvain.
Sylvain.
Share.cc.no is going easy 5?
Okay, so
Next couple of months.
cool.
Yeah, excellent. Nice.
Thank you for attending. Sorry for being late. And okay. And I hope you will enjoy migration. Just keep in mind that it's not so difficult. Well, it's not as difficult as it's usually presented.
And
That's it.
As it previously has been with everything.
Yes.
So updating system,
Yeah.
especially.
And in any case, we strongly advise you use legacy from EZ5. Then you are just like a couple configuration lines away from using REST or Symfony bundles or whatever without touching any line of what you had previously. So it's a very low-hanging fruit, and bonus, you get to maintain version. So it might be useful.
And 5.3 is a long time.
5.3 is LTS, so meaning 3 years of support plus 2 for extended support for security.
And same for 5.4.
Yes, 5.4 will be LTS as well because it will most likely be the last version of the 5 branch.
Thank you.